This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
We promised you that my man David Dwork would be kind enough to join us, Chirping the Cats podcast, and of course WPLG covering the Cats. You know, I know that they lost, and thank you for joining us, but I don't feel sorry for you because you were in Vegas, baby. Vegas. Was Vegas fun?
Yeah, no, Vegas is. It was as fun as it could be for
You're married.
36
You don't
hours,
want,
however long I
to
was there.
admit how much fun you had, huh? Is that what it is now? You're at home. The wife might be hanging around. You don't want to tell us about all the fun you had in Vegas?
No, the wife is actually out of town. The house is dead silent right now, and it's
So
amazing.
the fun will be
I'm
tonight
managing.
at your house. Oh, party at the Dworksters. Yeah. All right. Yeah. I'll bring the hookers.
Oh,
All right.
God, Big O. Thank goodness there's no chance my wife is watching this. No, Vegas was fun, man. You know how it is. I mean, it was a quick trip. We went out after the game. That was the advantage of the game being a 5:00 local start in Vegas, because by the time, even after everything was over, it was still not very late. So we were able to,
That's my
have a little bit
prediction
of
for
fun.
the A's, by the way. I think baseball is going to be like that too. Remember, the Cubs did baseball for 100 years without lights in Wrigley.
Yeah.
And so I bet you the A's, when they get to Vegas, all their games will be at 4 or 5 o'clock. So that way, you're done with a baseball game. You can still go have dinner. You can go see a show. You can go see a concert. You can go to the casinos and spend money. And I bet you that most of the baseball games will be around that time instead of 7 or 8 o'clock, because if you do it at 7 or 8 o'clock, by the time you get out of the baseball game, you're probably not going to spend the same kind of money or do anything. So I bet you baseball games are going to be just like that early. Watch.
Yeah, we drove by the site where I guess they're looking to build the Ace Stadium, which is right, maybe stone's throw from where the hockey arena is. It's right up whatever Tropicana Avenue or whatever that
Tropicana.
road is.
Yeah.
No, my driver was like, "Oh yeah, this is where the baseball stadium's gonna go." Good luck.
Yeah, it's awesome. Dude, the injuries were, my God, dude. I mean, Aaron Ekblad, how are you? And how does Tkachuk get back out there on the ice for whatever 19 minutes with a broken clavicle and score a goal, right? And didn't he score a goal? I mean,
Yeah.
that's just stupid, dude. I mean, we talk about, what's that? Load management in the NBA and all that kind of crap. And then we watch hockey players, dude. And it is not, dude. Aaron Ekblad cleared, no, or was it Tkachuk? Which one of them cleared a concussion protocol and everything that we didn't even know about? That's
Ekblad.
nuts. Ekblad. God bless, dude.
Well,
Seriously.
Tkachuk also, he had to clear concussion protocol. They both did, actually.
Okay. So look at that. I mean, dude. I remember covering hockey years ago where Radek Dvorak had like we get that thing in between the periods and we're sitting there and it's bruised jaw, broken nose, lacerated eye, probable return. What?
Yeah, man.
And there he is back on the ice. You're like, what the hell is this? What are you doing? And then we see Tkachuk, and I couldn't get out of bed with a broken clavicle, dude. I mean, the players were dressing him in the locker room and stuff like that. This is nuts what was going on with Tkachuk.
Dude, it's the Stanley Cup. I mean, I think this is kind of the expectation that, at least with this team, right? Because we heard all playoff long how loose they were and how they were just really enjoying it. But at the same time, they were able to be just locked in and appreciate the moment that they were in. So, yeah, that's not surprising at all, just because it's your whole monologue just now. It's what hockey players are. It's how they're built. They're wired differently. It's just, and it's not like a macho thing. They're not out there to prove how tough they are. They want to get out there and play the game and win. Like, they'll go out there in the Stanley Cup final and, get their face cracked open, get 40 stitches and go out there, but they'll do the same thing in December 12th.
Right.
That's just how these guys are. And the Panthers, the way that Bill Zito built his locker room, it's all high character guys. Everybody out there is, if they got a broken bone, if they can bear it out, they'll be on the ice helping their team.
Yeah, Radko
And
Gudas, bro. High ankle sprain. How do you
Aaron Ekblad
skate?
broke his foot the second game of the playoffs.
Yeah, how do you skate with a high ankle sprain, dude? No. Oh, no. No. How do you cut? How do you no, 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 no. It doesn't make any sense. Oh,
No.
God bless, man. That is just now let me ask you, because this is what I'm feeling, but you know more than I do on this. When last year they had one style and then they changed it, and it took them forever to kind of figure things out, and it looks like they finally figured it out towards the end. Plus the goalie helped, and Alex was playing well, and then Bob got on his role. Obviously that helps, but overall it looked like they started playing and mastering whatever it is that Paul Maurice installed in there. But I'm feeling better for next year because now there is no change, and I figured you kind of made your transition now. So I'm hoping for a much stronger start next year, as long as you can get some consistency at the goalie spot, because that's still a major question mark. Even though Bob got on a streak, there still isn't enough consistency at that spot to make me feel good. So your thoughts on that?
Well, I would also caveat just with, we don't know exactly how healthy they're going to be when the season starts next year either. There could be some lingering effects from some of the injuries that were suffered now that could, cause a little bumpy road early in the year. We don't know for sure. Aaron Ekblad said that he's probably not going to be there for the start of training camp at least.
Yeah,
That's just one.
if they would have been eliminated from the playoffs, then he would, and they were injured. Then if they never went through the playoff run, maybe we get those guys back. But because it's now middle of June and all those injuries, you're right. That shit's going to drag right into the regular season. Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, and then also the goaltending, that's always the caveat, that we need the goaltending to be what it was in the playoffs. That's what they need to succeed at that level. But in terms of the way that they switched styles this year and how it took a while for players to not just understand the X's and O's of it, but the level of effort and intensity that goes into it, and why that they have to push that hard. I think when it all came together in the playoffs, and you've heard just countless guys talking about it, how we figured it out, it worked, now we're rolling. They say all those right cliche things about the style, and it's true. So yeah, that now you go into a new season where you know what you need to be, where you need to be, and now you can get into the details and the different little tricks and trades that Paul Maurice can show these guys. Like, now that you know where you're supposed to be, I can show you, these variants, these different options, and I think you're going to see, hopefully, a more cohesive unit throughout the year. Because look, the regular season is a grind, and these guys know what they had to go through just to get in the playoffs this year. But it should be an easier situation next year. And then it also, just in terms of like the depth of the team, they should have a little bit more ability to survive injuries, just because they should be deeper based off Bill Zito should be able to bring in a few extra guys with the cap space that they're going to have this offseason.
Yeah,
So
I want to get to that too with you. Let me ask you something on, they had big dudes, bro. Like, do we need to get bigger, more athletic? In defense, especially because there were some big ass dudes on that Vegas side that it just seems like they were mauling us at times. The Panthers tried to be physical, and then Vegas said, no, we'll show you what physical is. And then they got more physical, and I think they beat up the Panthers when it was all said and done. Do we need to get bigger and more physical?
I don't know if it's a matter of needing bigger defensemen. I think Florida just got worn down in their forward ranks. Losing guys. Kachuk gets hurt in the series. Nick Cousins was apparently banged up. Lusterinen didn't even play in the final.
Yeah, Listerine. Yeah, he was out, bro.
So
Mouthwash
I think
was out.
that had, I think, a lot to do with it. I mean, Vegas, look, they flexed their muscle where they needed to defensively, but in terms of like their size, they cut that middle of the ice in the defensive zone out. And it was difficult for Florida to adjust to that because particularly on the power play, so much of their offense drives through the middle. But I do think if you had that depth, that was really something that was their strength throughout the first 3 rounds. It was almost like cutting one of their legs out in the final. And when you combine that with Vegas's muscle and size on D, I think that was, a big contributing factor to their downfall.
All right, so now I'll follow up with what you were touching on. So lead me to free agency now. They do get some cap relief now, so they'll have some money to play with. Where do you expect them to use that kind of money?
I mean, we've seen over the years that Bill Zito and his guys do covet defensemen, so I would expect there to be at least, whether it's a high end defenseman or a couple of really solid middle pairing type guys, just to recoup that depth. Because Mark Stahl is a free agent; he's probably not coming back, just based off his age and performance this year.
See ya. Later. Okay, I'm sorry.
And beyond that, I mean, they've got a lot of guys coming back on their defense. Ekblad, Montour, Forsling, Josh Mahura, they're all going to be back next season. You'd like to see them re-sign Radko Gudas, who said he wants to stay in Florida to a reasonable deal, which they, you would hope that they can come to a good, middle ground in those negotiations.
Fear the beard, baby. Fear the beard.
But I really think the forward depth is vital to being a successful team that's going to go on a long playoff run. And in that regard, I think based off Bill Zito's track record and the way he's been able to find guys kind of on the cheap and have it work out, whether it's like a Verhage or a Duclair, those type of players, middle six kind of guys. I mean, even Nick Cousins, who he signed to a 2-year deal, look how great he was on a second line role for much of the playoffs. So I would think that that's where Bill Zito's going to go with it, and we'll see how it plays out. But the Panthers, at the end of next season, once they get through whatever the injuries they're going to have to deal with at the beginning, they should be a better team next year than they were this year.
Is the Vegas Golden Knights the greatest expansion team in all of pro sports?
It's hard to argue otherwise at this point. I mean,
I'm trying to think of another
the Arizona
one,
Diamondbacks.
Did they go to 2 World Series and win one of them in the first 4 years of their existence? Right? They've been around 4 years,
Series.
right? Is it 4 years? 4 or 5? What is it? 4, right?
Vegas?
Yeah.
Vegas is 6.
6. Okay, 6. So how many playoff trips do they have now in 6?
5. They
5.
only missed the playoffs once.
5 and
conference
2
final
and 2
4
finals,
times.
a conference final, and 1 title. I don't think the D-backs did that. Not in their first 6 years.
No, I don't think it's close. I think
right?
The way Vegas has, they got lucky. They beat the odds. They came up with they hit 7.
No, it can't be luck anymore. We can't call it luck, bro. You can't do it all these years. You can't. They know their shit, dude. You have to give them credit. They've been relevant from day one in this league. It can't be luck anymore, David. You have to give them props.
There's a certain element. Well, look at the playoffs. Like the luck element has to be like Aiden Hill.
Sure.
Are you expecting your number 3 goaltender to play like that?
Well, Alex Lyon got he's, what is he, 3rd or 4th string, if you want to call him, pretty much. And he got you into the playoffs too. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, sometimes you need a couple breaks. I get that, but you don't have those breaks for 6 straight years of being, a really good franchise. I'm so impressed with what they did. And the follow-up that I'll ask you, can you remind me why Dale Talon's dumbass allowed Marcia Salt out of here? I forgot now.
I believe the expectation was that they, in the expansion draft, wanted to protect 4 defensemen. They wanted to protect Alex, was it Petrovic, in addition to the other guys, who was Ekblad, and I don't remember the exact 4 guys. And because you could either do like 7 forwards, 3 defensemen, and a goalie, or 4 and 4, like 4 forwards and 4 defensemen and a goalie. And they wanted the 4D. And so they made the deal with Vegas that they'd leave Marchessault exposed in the expansion draft so they could take him. And then Vegas took Riley Smith and his contract that Dale Talon didn't want to keep. That was from the previous front office regime.
I don't have a problem with Riley Smith, but Marchessault is the one, dude, the whole playoffs. That guy, every moment you needed a big goal, he was there for Vegas, pretty much. He's
been great year in and year out for them. A 30-goal guy, like just.
Yeah. God, man. impressive. I got to say, big time impressive. By the way, for you personally, because I don't think we've seen one since maybe Pavel Bure, and so how fun was it to have like a legit, flat out superstar in the locker room in Kachuk? How was that experience? What'd you see from the players? How did it lift that locker room? All those kind of things. Having a guy like Kachuk there.
Yeah, he's like the best kind of superstar because like he's still like humble and a great teammate and very team first, not me first kind of guy. But he'll go out there and kick your ass on the ice in every way that you can, whether it's
Right.
scoring
Physically,
goals
yeah.
and beating you on the scoreboard or like literally kicking your ass and putting you on your ass. Like it's he's
Like
the first
Nikola
guy to defend his
Jokic.
teammates.
Like Nikola Jokic. Like he'll do the same thing. And then if you want to mess with him, Markeith, well, then we'll bust your neck in half and you'll be out of the league. There you go. So, yeah, just like that. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, no, he was a perfect find for this team. He helped them be tougher and grittier, and we saw like how impactful he was on that playoff run with the game-winning goals, and the attention that he drew from the opposition. It was just the latest in another home run streak by Blvd in terms of the moves he's made for this team.
I know we have Yager here, and obviously Barkov is a hell of a player. But Bore may be the last one that was as electrifying as this guy. Now, this guy's even better than Bore because he does, like you said, he does it all. I don't think Pavo was considered that. But man, the one more thing I will say about Kachuk, I know you're not going to take this out of him. This is who he is. So, and by the way, that's the whole family. That's kind of the way his dad was too and all that. But because of his physical nature and considering he's so important offensively as a superstar, does he end up hurting himself being so physical because he ends up putting a bigger target on his body? And so he'll create more frustrations on people by doing whatever he's doing, being a gnat or being physical or scoring. And then there's more anger to try to get revenge on him. So does his style of play, I know you can't stop it, but does it kind of hurt him too in the process because he might take extra shots and people might be looking out for him more because he puts himself out there, bro?
Yeah, I mean, that's always a casualty of playing that style and being, towing that line. I think with Tkachuk, he's such a smart young player that as he evolves as a hockey player, I would expect him to find the balance of how hard to push and not necessarily go over the line as he gets older and more mature and understands hockey. He's a smart guy. He's got great mentors, whether it's his dad, his brother who plays in the league, or just, he's in a great hockey family.
His dad was a monster, bro. Please. His dad was a badass in this league. Shit.
Yeah, one of the best American hockey players of all time, no doubt.
Please.
He's such a smart and self-aware kind of player, and he doesn't want to hurt his team. I would
Right.
think just as he matures, that his game will level out a bit, and he'll take it to that point when he needs to, but not necessarily like a reflex. Like you see a scrum behind the net and you get your face in there and you do whatever you need to. You're causing the other team's goalies mask to come off and going through when it's necessary. Yeah, but I just don't see him being a guy where like he's 30 years old in the playoffs and he's still acting like a 25-year-old.
Okay.
He's
All
too
right.
good.
Okay. One more thing before I let you go. The goalie. I know what's 3 more years left on Bob's massive deal, right? Correct? Am I right on that?
Correct.
3? Okay,
7
so
years.
they're stuck with him. You have your ups and downs with him. Now, Knight obviously has had some issues. What do you do about goaltending? Do you try to find somebody else just in case? How comfortable are you going into the season with these two goalies in mind for the 23-24 season?
I think in terms of depth, like that theory has been proved with you mentioned Alex Lyon, like how important it is to have a third goalie that you can count on because you don't know what may happen during the season. I think the expectation as of right now is that Sergei Bobrovsky and Spencer Knight will be your goalies when you go to the season next year. I believe that's where the front office views their goaltending situation to be. The question is, how big of an insurance policy do you want to take out? Because July 1st is right around the corner. The season just ended, but free agency is starting in less than 2 weeks. Right. And that's something that they're going to have to address. Alex Lyon's a UFA, so he's gone. Well, he's not gone, but he's not tied in. They're going to have to spend some money to re-sign him. This is a guy who just proved he's got some worth at the NHL level. He's probably going to be looking for a one-way deal. So one way or another, Bill Zito and his staff are going to have a decision to make on their goaltending, and they're going to have to make it soon. And I think when you see what they do in free agency in terms of how they approach goaltending, that will show you the confidence level that they have in Bob and Knight moving into the season.
In a follow-up unfair question, what do we know about Spencer Knight and his progress off the ice? And obviously the young man was dealing with his own issues. Do we know what kind of progress? Do they feel comfortable with him moving forward? What do we know?
From what I've been told, he did well in the program that he was going into. He did it up north at home in Connecticut. He's been through the program. He's doing well. We saw that he was out with some of his hockey friends at the Belmont Stakes, which some people didn't like that for whatever reason. I think being out with friends doing something is a wonderful, healthy thing.
Very important.
Any young man would want to do.
And
I think that's a great sign for Spencer Knight.
Yes.
So yeah, I think that's where they're at right now. And I think once we get through the off season and they get a little bit more zeroed in on what's going on, they'll touch base with Spencer a little bit closer. But yeah, hopefully, Spencer's feeling good. I don't want to assume anything based off of one photo, but hopefully that's an indication that he's healthy and happy and ready to this. It's not like he doesn't want to get back to his career. Like Spencer Knight loves to play hockey. He's a hockey nerd. He's a rink, what do they call it? Gym rat, rink rat, whatever you want to call it. Like he's that guy. He loves hockey and he loves goaltending. And would think that he's, anxious to get back out there after watching his team do what they just did. He wants to be a part of that, just like anybody would. So hopefully that's where he's at and the team is at, and that everybody's happy and healthy. And, we're ready to see Spencer resume his career come this fall.
Follow him on Twitter at David Dwork. David, what do you got going on? Chirping the Cats and Channel 10.
Lately, man, most of my work's been going on to the Hockey News. That's where most of my
Hockey News. That's right. I'm sorry. Yes. Yes.
So right now, that's where everything is cooking, and been churning out a lot of content. I've got some stuff coming up for the rest of the week based off of some exit day interviews that we did yesterday at the arena. And yeah, man, that's what's been cooking.
All right, good stuff. Follow him on Twitter at David Dwork. David, appreciate you, my brother. Happy Father's Day to you, sir. And
Same to you.
Down the line, my friend. Thank you.
Take care, buddy.
You got it, baby. There you go. David Dwork. Good stuff as always. Love David, man. Does excellent work there. Check out, please subscribe also to his podcast, Chirping the Cats, and check out his work there at the Hockey News.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.